Hi everyone. I'm welcoming today Thomas Morisset, actually a longtime friend of mine as well, same as Thomas Cotiani, as the old Thomas. And Thomas used to work at a very large alcohol firm called Pernod Ricard. 5 or 6 years ago, that's how I came to know him, because we had one friend in common. And he ultimately started his own business, Made for Goods. So I'd like to know more about what he's doing, because his numbers are pretty impressive. In his presentation, he's talking about 1 billion transactions a year scanned. And I have to confess that I had hard time to understand what he was doing first. And step by step, the more I talk to him, the more I understand what he's doing. And I hope that we can understand a bit more as well how to run a tech company, a software company, a SaaS company, to be more precise, in China. Welcome, Thomas.
Hello, David. How are you?
Good, and thanks for being here. Good. So, what is Made for Goods?
Okay, Made for Goods is a SaaS company in China. We've been around for a little bit over 2 years now. We're based in Shanghai, and we offer to our clients, which are large packaged goods companies in China, software to help them interface their smaller customers. So some of our clients are the SAF, which is a yeast company, which uses our software to interface small bakers, boulangerie, Mianbao in China, or Saint-Gobain, which uses our software to interface factories which use their products, or Unilever, who uses our software to interface small independent beauty stores and small wholesalers, etc., etc. And so the reason they need this kind of digital solution is that typically in China, they don't sell to these guys directly. They sell through 2 million wholesalers, which are still running a business in China today. And they don't have a direct connection to them. So with our solution, they can start to have members joining their B2B programs and give them incentives by scanning QR code on the packages and showing them new product introduction or new promotion, which are for them. And little by little, making the relationship more direct, eventually completely direct.
Okay, so I think there's a lot to understand from this, because I'm not sure I understand all the process. You are providing a software, basically an app, right? Which is helping those people who buy products from those companies. You talked about Saint-Gobain, you talked about Unilever, to scan the product they buy so that this same Unilever knows that he went to this shop. Is it correct?
Yes, exactly. So, for example, for Le SAF, there are maybe 1 million restaurants, bakeries, boulangeries who bake in China and who use yeast products. When you bake and you want the mix to I don't know how to say.
Yeah, we talk French, but we understand each other. But the thing that some people may listen to us and not watch the video. So basically, when you're baking, right, you need a product. Okay, to make it bigger. Okay.
Yes, for the product to become bread, basically. And so Le SAF is the world leading company for yeast, and it's a very big player in China as well. And they sell their yeast through wholesalers. So a baker, like somebody who sells cakes or mantou or mianbao in China, he will scan the products and he will register via WeChat to the membership program of the brand. We use for that a technology which is called mini program in WeChat, which is something between a website and an app. So it's as easy to open the first time as an H5, but it's as stable and smooth to use as an app going forward. And via this program, they can accumulate points or coupons or rewards for the products that they are purchasing still through the wholesalers. And they can exchange them for free goods or for other benefits from the brands. And this is how the brand progressively changes from promoting new product launches or seasonal promotion, which they used to through the wholesalers, so indirectly, now directly with the bakers.
I see. So who is getting the incentives? Is it the business or the people who scan? I'm not clear on this.
This is a very good question. So it can be both. There are multiple roles. There's the business manager or the business owner, and there are the business employees. So for a bakeries, it's not a big difference because most of them are independent. And so the owner is the manager, is the cook, is the same person. But for larger companies like a restaurant, where you have multiple waiters, for example, for wines, you may have both incentives, yes.
Okay, both are incentivized to scan and they get rewards in terms of gifting or discount in future orders. Is it correct?
Yeah. So these rewards before would have existed maybe. So they will get a plan via the wholesalers. Okay, this is Chinese New Year. If you buy 1 cases of wine, you will get 2 free bottles, for example. And now they are digitized. So instead of all this going through the wholesalers, they happened with the brand directly, but without changing too much the transactional and the distribution model in the middle.
I see. I understand. But so what's the ultimate objective? Is the ultimate objective to understand what the products are becoming, where they are, and who is using it? Is it to skip the wholesalers? Is it to actually build a loyalty program? Because I see different aspects of it, different aspects which can be leveraged through your app. Which one is the main one? The main reason why people come to you?
The long-term objective is to be direct with these guys, which is to have a direct relationship with them, which means that the brand can convince them directly to use their yeasts in their recipes or to use their alcohol in their wine list or their beauty products on their shelves by communicating with them directly and influencing directly their orders and their purchase decision via promotional offerings. But you cannot go directly to this. You cannot remove everything else which is today on the market. So because there are many people in between and many interests, so you need to go step by step. And so I think the simple beauty of the QR code is that you can introduce this new relationship without changing anything else and without upsetting too much the other people. You're just shifting little by little some of the relationship which was indirect to direct. So some promotions which would go through wholesalers before, now they are direct. And maybe in the next step, you will take orders and you will transfer these orders to the wholesalers for them to fulfill them. And then one day you will go direct.
I see. Does it mean that now the wholesalers are also scanning?
So there are also programs because there are multiple layers of wholesalers in China in many situations. Yeah. So there are also for some of our customers programs for second layer wholesalers because you are trying to skip the first layer eventually. So in that case, yes, wholesalers are scanning.
Okay. How does it work exactly? Could you describe your process for a typical example or the best case you like to describe?
Yeah, sure. So for another customer, which is Yatong or Eternal Asia, which is a local China 500 company which distributes alcohol and to restaurants and bars in China.
What's the name?
Yatong, and the English name is Eternal Asia. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a top 500 company in terms of capitalization in China. And so they place QR codes on their products, and so the staff of restaurants scan them to get incentives. And so this has replaced all the previous mechanisms they had of reporting by salespeople or passing some incentives via some lower tier wholesalers, and so save them a lot of money in cheating or inaccuracies or operational fees to digitize the way they interact with the staff of the restaurants.
So that you said save money, but I'm not sure we all understand how they save money. You talk about in your presentation that you make your clients save 3 points of P&L or increase by 3 points their profit if they make profit.
Yeah.
So how do they really save money? Because I see actually what I understand is that you ask people outside of your company to do a work you should do, which is to know what your product is becoming and reward each layer of the chain. Is it what you talk about when you say saving money?
Yeah. So I think the big difference between B2B and B2C is that the price is not the same for everybody. If you're a consumer, for every single consumer, I mean, there are different prices, but these prices are available to all the consumers. But in B2B, the bigger you are, if you commit to this brand into your menu or your recipe or what you use in your hair salon, if you are bigger, then you should get a better price basically because you have more bargaining power with the brands. And so there are a big part of this company's gross sales, which is really spent on discounts to basically lower the price via rebates to some of the bigger customers which are on the market. And that when you don't sell to these customers directly, then you have to trust your wholesalers to take this rebate and give it to them appropriately, basically. Now the problem is that what the wholesaler is supposed to do is to go after these bigger customers, these bigger restaurants or these bigger hair salons or these bigger bars or shops, and to convince them to take a big part of that brand into their portfolio. And they will give them, and this takes a lot of work. And then they tell to the brand, okay, now I have this and this and that. Please give me this rebate so I can give it to them. This is the traditional way of doing business. The problem is that it's much easier for the wholesalers to lie and say that they got many of these big customers, to take a lot of rebates, and then they have now a price which is lower than the other wholesalers, and they resell it on the internet, on the wholesaler markets. So a lot of the money we save directly is by removing some of this cheating or these inefficiencies, because you get more accurate data directly by the customers instead of relying by the wholesalers.
I see. And those wholesalers, you're telling us that some of the layers are working with your solution. Are they okay with that?
So of course not. There are 2 million wholesalers in China, and I think many of them are very traditional businesses, and many of them also not very sure of what is their relevance in the future digital e-commerce world, because they have no product, no differentiation. Actually, they are just a commodity of logistics and financial services between brands and shops. So they still have some power because they have some relationships with outlets, some relationships with authorities. So they have some level of influence on the economics of the city where they work. And you don't want to upset them because otherwise they will use their influence to damage your brands. And this is why everything you do, you need to do very step by step. And you cannot go too fast. You can go faster than the normal trend of the market of eventually they are losing influence and they will merge, disappear, or being replaced by something else. And so this is really what we're trying to do with all of our customers. They need to start today to digitize the relationship with their small stores and need to go as quickly as possible without stretching too much and going beyond the bargaining power of the brand and the resistance of the market.
So who's going to do this work of convincing or softening the change to the wholesalers? Are you working with the client on this, or you let the client talking to the wholesaler
eventually,
different layers?
Eventually we are a software provider, so it's really the job of the brand to maintain and make these relationships evolve with their distributors, wholesalers. But we have a lot of experience because actually these relationships and these evolutions, they are very similar in all the industries we go to. It can be alcohol, it can be shampoo, it can be construction material, it's always the same thing. They're your customers, but they're also in the way of your future growth. And so you have this very complex relationship of keeping them happy, but knowing that they need to be less and less important in the future of your company. And so we bring them a lot of advice, and also it's step by step. What can you do first, and what should you do later? And we also make them talk to each other, especially when they're from different industries. Then they're very happy to share experiences, and they can give each other advice for the ones which have been a little bit farther away in the process, and give advice to other clients.
For the clients you have now, you talked about several ones. They process all the distribution with your software, with your SaaS system, right? All of it.
Correct. Of course, when we send a new client, we often start with a pilot, which is maybe one of the business units, if there are multiple ones, and one sales area. But eventually, we go to all the business units which are distributed indirectly via wholesalers for the entirety of China. Yeah. And
do people actually respect that, to actually scan at each layer of the transaction when they receive the products, when they want to reorder the product? Do they respect the process for now?
So eventually, this is added value that the brand gives to you as a cook or a waiter or a hairstylist. So you can choose not to have this value, of course. But what you need to understand is that, again, there's a difference between B2B and B2C. As a B2C, as a consumer, you have many promotions every day, and you can go after each coupon or each rebate. But for me, I don't do this because I don't want to be bothered by these things in my life and my time and how I spend my thoughts. But for them, this is work. This is the P&L. This is where 10 people work 8 hours every day, buying every day the same products, and so getting the best deal on this product. It's not a nice to have. It's how you optimize your business. And it becomes a standardized process, and you don't have to educate people over and over again because you have people who consume your product every day. So you can educate all your customers, B2B customers. You can never educate all your consumers.
I see. So you feel that in B2B, discounts and giftings are working better. That's what you say, right? They make more sense for them. It's rational. It's more rational. Okay, I understand. Can you give us a sense of the size of the company currently, number of people, revenues, growth, if you can share?
Okay. So the team is 27 people in Shanghai. And most of them are working on developing the software. So the revenues are the ARR this year are a little below $1 million. And the total revenue.
So you mean ARA, right? Non-M, right? Because monthly, it's annual. Right?
ARR. So annual recurring.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I see.
The 1 million.
Okay.
And then the revenues are above 1 million. So we have a lot of setup fees and these things which we are very focusing on the ARR. And so the ARR has grown already by 4 compared to last year.
Multiplied by 4.
Yeah, and we expect it will grow by 4 again in 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we already have. We already have ×2, not guaranteed, but which we expect to get organically from existing customers.
I see.
Because again, with each of our customers, we start with pilots, which grow to a rollout. So the growth is both from acquiring new customers, but also from going deeper with our existing customers.
I see. Okay. And are you profitable now or still investing?
No, we're investing.
Okay, good. Where does the money come from? You raised money?
So yes, we raised a little bit below $1 million 1 year ago.
Okay.
And we plan to raise 5 million next year.
Okay. I see. Yeah, I was investigating a little bit on the internet and found out that it's very difficult, very hard to get information about your funding. Actually, on Angel.co, you still have some information on one company which funded you. I think at the beginning, but I know that actually was not the only one. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. So well, yes, I need to update our Angel.co website.
Yeah.
So. This the latest one we're running was an angel fund. It was a safe investment, so convertible notes. And before that, when we got started more than 2 years ago, we did not receive money, but we received some office space and some developers and some advice from a local IT services company. Which was actually the first investor.
I see. I understand. Okay. Okay. You talked about 4 core products in your presentation, and I don't understand really the segmentation. Can you tell us more about this?
Sure. So we have a big backend system which manages unique QR codes, product master, product information, business logics, number of points, authorized areas for reward stuff, and of course all the customer information from when they register, their personal info, then their history, and their transactions and additional information we get from them. And then some consumers as well, because there is a bit of consumer information. So we have this big backend system, and then we have a standardized widget mini program, which
so
is
the backend is one product.
It's one product.
One product. Okay, I understand. The mini program is one product. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they come together. You cannot choose one without the other one. But so the link is really the standard interface which we configure for each customer, which they offer to their restaurants, bars, bakers. And we have a new product which is coming up, which is for consumers. And this is more like an investment for the future that we are launching for Christmas, similar to what we do with B2B, but this one for B2C. And we also have a service platform. So we don't sell only licenses, but we also sell services. So we have acquired a number of data, for example, a database of outlets in China, which our customers can use from us. We also have some services for rewards or customer service, many of the things which you need to actually do in order to run your B2B program completely. And so these things are so we have a platform of services for that, working with partners that our customer can plug into via our software to run their solution.
When you say consumer, it's not the end consumer, it's not it's not myself, right? It's companies, right?
Yeah,
companies. Okay. So to sum up, you have the 4 products you talked about is the backend, which is linked to the mini app. Basically, it's a system to look at how people interact with the app and how they use it and information and so on. Okay, you have the mini app on WeChat, and I go back on the mini app on WeChat. I think it would be very interesting to know why you used this mini app on WeChat and not an app. And you are working on a third product, which is B2C for the end clients, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And the platform, which is a service platform where you could have a lot of different products for the shop to order, even if it's not a product is usually ordering, you would offer direct contact with the brand. Is it correct?
So the platform is some chargeable services that our clients may need to use to run their program to their customers. So, for example, there are points, there are rewards. So you can order gifts or these kind of things. So we have a database of gifts, and including the the catalog, the delivery, all these things. So they just plug into our service platform, and then they can use all these gifts for their program, and then they pay us as they use. We also have a database of outlets, so they can look into the database to give them an idea of where they are versus the market, and this is chargeable as well. We also have prospection services to go actually on the field door to door to push this program, and this is you pay as you use it. So we have all these services because at the end of the day, the brand cannot run eventually as they go more and more direct, they cannot offer to their customers a total solution by themselves. So you need software, but you also need a platform to complement the solution. And so this is what we offer to them.
Currently, the 1 million ARR you are doing is mainly with then the mini app and the backend, right? The first two.
Correct. There is also a little bit of revenue coming from the services we sell.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, the service platform, you could have actually to plug into your service platform people who are not your clients. I mean, companies which are not your clients, you don't manage all the distribution and put QR code on all the products, but they could actually plug into your platform.
No, we don't offer that.
No? Okay. It's only your clients.
It's only for our clients. Yeah.
Okay. Because it could be, right? If I understand correctly.
Technically it could be, yeah. It's a question of focus, I guess.
Okay, I understand. I just want to make sure that I understand correctly. Okay. What about, so mini app on WeChat. I heard a lot of bad things about mini app on WeChat that was not no leverage, no people were using it and so on, and that it's leveraging it now. People are beginning to use it, but it took so much time. What's your feedback on it?
Well, I think, the user, doesn't really care. H5 or mini app, and if you use H5, you use mini app. To be honest, it's not such a big difference, and both of them are completely fine. So I don't want to say H5 is better or mini app is better. They are very similar, and they have some small advantages, which may make them more relevant depending on the business case. And for us, the advantages of mini app are significant enough that we went for that directly this year. We changed from an H5 strategy to a mini program strategy this year. And for us, these advantages are our users are very frequent users of the brand program, daily or weekly or at the very least monthly. And so the save of time on the loading time on the experience, but also not having to gain access, re-logging stuff continuously makes a huge difference. And on the other hand, there is no real inconvenience. Not inconvenient because you don't have to load the mini program. It opens like an HF at the beginning. So for us, it was a very clear decision actually to go for mini program. Yeah.
Okay, so for people who don't understand, who are not listening to us from China,
I think for them it's difficult to understand without slides. Yes.
Yeah, so the mini app is an app you open within the system of WeChat, so you don't have to go out of WeChat to open it. So it's easier because WeChat is the main app that Chinese are using. One question about mini app: you are scanning
mini program.
Mini program. Sorry. You are scanning a lot of QR codes. You know that some developers suggest to go on native apps when you have to interact with the camera of the phone. How is it with mini program, right? Mini programs, on WeChat. Is it the interaction with what we call I think SDK, right? I'm not a developer myself. How does it interact with the phone? Is it seamless? Is it as good as native?
So it is an SDK, and we use the WeChat QR code scanning solution for that. And to be honest, it's excellent. I remember 5 years ago when in another life I was working with that, and we were really struggling because they would not open, for example, the light of the camera. So basically, you could not scan a QR code in the dark with WeChat. And these kind of things. So all of these things have been solved a long time ago, and now you have not only an offline recognition of the QR code to first know where it is without server use, but also zooming in when you're a little bit far from it, automatically detection of dark for the lights, and overall excellent image recognition. So it's, I don't think I could do something better than that. So not even trying. Yeah.
Okay. Don't you feel too dependent on WeChat? Is it do you price it as a risk for your business to be dependent with WeChat?
I mean, it's for us. It's a huge benefit to be able to have WeChat and to be able to use it. Without it, the user acquisition for our clients would be just too high. So because they would have to download something. So I think our business would not exist without WeChat today, to be honest.
Okay.
And for the long term, I think in theory it's a risk, but it's a risk for pretty much every consumer or customer software company in China, because we all use it, and many other things. I don't think it's the philosophy of WeChat to kill the solution providers which live on that platform, because I think they realize that to keep the traffic, they need to keep people being innovative on the platform. And so just like, when they create, WeChat offers a free H5 store or a free mini program store or a free CRM mini program for many free softwares, which are not used a lot actually. And they just do this, and they don't push too much or invest too much. They do this to show the example and communicate to people what you can do with WeChat. But they're actually very happy that there are companies who develop better solutions and sell them to customers.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem. I guess that the companies you work with are asking you to work outside of China. I mean, it could be Indonesia, it could be Thailand. I guess you had this discussion with your clients because if you have a system in a country which is as big as China, as important as China for a lot of companies, you may want to have the same system elsewhere. You answer this question because then we go back to the question of WeChat.
Yeah, so we have two large customers which have already deployed us in other markets, Europe actually, not Asia. And of course, the users in these markets, they don't use WeChat. So we have customized H5 or apps, basically, to do that. And so we don't use our standard mini program. We use these customized interfaces which are plugged into our backend system.
Okay, H5 meaning that it's a website that people open and use it through the internet, through Safari or through Chrome to scan. I understand. Yeah. Okay.
And which is more and more accessible. I think, as you know, like in the most recent iOS updates now, you can scan QR codes when they appear when you take a picture with the camera. So
I found that. Actually.
Yeah.
On the new iOS.
Right. So and many things similar exist for Android. So actually now in the rest of the world, most smartphone users have a native QR code scanners in their smartphones, which is very good. But that being said, these applications that we see developed in other countries are still quite a few years behind what the China affiliate is doing within these groups.
Interesting.
So and every time actually it is very interesting. I think there is a global intuition, or the intuition of this kind of solution at the global level. And then China being the first market to deploy this type of solutions, and then really being the model for other markets. And you really have a shift of power or innovation power in these very large multinational companies, with Europe or the US looking at what China is doing, which is very interesting.
Yeah, you feel China is advanced in your field, right? On tracking the products, using QR code. I mean, O2O, right? I think you've used a lot the word O2O, IoT in your presentation. Is it correct? mean, you are in the field of O2O, right? Offline to online and in some way.
Yeah. I don't know if O2O is a word that people use outside of China, but
Okay.
but yeah,
Okay.
offline to online or online to offline. So this is the idea that you have something which happens offline, for example. So these shops or these restaurants who use products and have an offline relationship with them, if you want, and then you bring it online via the solution that our clients use. So yeah, this is the trend in which we are. And
but this was the idea initially, right? This was your idea. I mean, O2O. I remember the first time we talked about it was focusing on O2O, and I feel that from the initial idea, you evolved a little bit, but the constant aspect is you are still very much into O2O. How to put what's happening offline into the cloud, basically. I mean, we say online with the cloud, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess the difference is that not only we take something offline to online, but we also take some place where there is no relationship or a poor indirect relationship to a direct relationship, because the relationship could not be direct offline. The market is too big. There are too many customers, so it can only exist online.
Yeah. About the business model, I'm not sure I'm very clear on the business model. Do you charge by number of scans? Do you charge by, there is a retainer and then number of scans? There is a trial period, I mean, the test and the beginning, the setup, I would say. And then you charge, how do you work?
Okay, so we have 3 menus, like basic, engage, and transform. And basic, you really are going to use the solution off the shelf, and in a way which is the most standardized according to what we see in the market. And with Engage, you have access to APIs, so you can complete the solution with more customized apps. You can integrate it to your architecture, your other systems, your BI tools. And with Transform, you have access to complex models, customized rule engines, or BI or big data database, multi-layered multinational organization setups. So the other 3 menus, and then within each menus, you have different according to how big you are. So within each of the 5 cases, you have a maximum number of unique products created, active customers, and active consumers.
I understand.
So one dimension on functional and one on size. Yeah.
Okay. The bigger you become, the more the higher you have to go into the menu. You have to go to menus. You talk about menu, right? And it's menu
basic,
one, menu one. Yeah.
Engage and transform.
Basic, engage and transform. And depending on the number of products which are in circulation, depending on the number of scans, the number of people who use it, you may have to actually to go on the second and third menu. And on top of that, you get more features, more ability to track, which are unlocked with the different menus. Is that correct?
So no matter your size, you can go with one of the 3 menus. It's how complex the business case is for you, or how integrated it is into your business. And then the size will go up within each menu according to the size of the business. So the menu is a functional dimension, and the size is the other dimension.
Okay. But I feel that it will be for you, for every client, a unique, in some way, you have a software, but some way it will be a bit unique for each of your clients. So as far as I understand, you will have to adapt a little bit with your client. I'm seeing in your presentation that you connect with 100 APIs. Is it because your clients are different? And that comes back to this question about how you have to adapt for every client.
Yeah, no, definitely. This is for larger organizations. This is the industry of large software applications, which are integrated with the client's ERP, BI tools, production systems, sometimes the SFAs. So I mean, many of the typical software and the architecture of a FMCG company in China. And plus, you may develop specific reports or specific interfaces. And so for all of this, you need APIs. Yeah.
Okay. Is it easy to motivate the team of developers when you have to adapt your product to every client? I mean, often adapt to your client. I mean, that's a big question for a lot of tech company, right?
Yeah, I think we have this is one place we are very strong actually for a startup of our size compared to what maybe other startups have difficulties. So we have a very simple but also a very strict rule at madeforgoods, which is that the project team, the one who delivers the project to the clients after it's signed, they are forbidden from using our developers for not only any customized developments, but even the integration, the standard integrations. So all the efforts to do that needs to be done with our partners, our integration partners, or our customized development partners.
Interesting.
So
you outsource them this part.
Yeah, exactly. So the team is 100% focused on the product and the roadmap. Of course, there is significant interaction between the two teams, but the idea is that we plan a long time ahead features, and we stick to the plan. And if something is needed right now, which is not in the plan, then we adapt it because we have a very open platform. So there is always a way to build customized developments without impacting the team.
I see. Interesting. Let's go back to the start of the business. I think you have co-founders. Could you tell us more about how you started, how you brought your co-founders? Yeah, very interesting part.
So I quit my job almost 3 years ago, and in very good terms with them. So when I started, I still was working 2 days per week as a consultant for them on site. And I did some consulting projects for all other companies at the same time. And so I started very light with not spending money and making a little bit of money in services and starting to develop a software. And then we started to do some IT projects a little bit over 2 years ago, using some of the platform we were developing, but also a lot of custom developments at the same time. And so, and at that time, when I started, I was by myself. And so we are 4 co-founders today, and the first of the 4 co-founders joined around that time, which was middle of 2015.
So
when
1 year after you started, or 6 months after you started?
6 months. 6 months. Yeah.
6 months.
6 months. Yeah. And then we did more projects, and we started to do really a standard product, which is what is today our backend system, basically. And that system really went live in the middle of last year, so not a long time ago, actually.
Middle of last year, 2016. Okay.
Yeah, Q3 even. Yeah. Which is our big microservices, very open APIs backend system. And then setting projects based on that and focusing on ARR and that's setting that standard product since last year, basically. So sorry, and I'm not doing the chronology very properly, so it will be very confusing. But the third co-founder joined us in June of 2016, and so more than 1 year ago. And the last co-founder in September, so yeah, also just a little bit about 1 year ago. So actually the product and the co-founding team is still pretty new, a little bit over 1 year old in that respect.
how do you integrate them? I think that's a big question for a lot of people who start business. They may start alone and they welcome other co-founders. I think it's very difficult, never easy actually, at least. How did you work out to integrate them?
So no, I didn't. I don't think it was difficult for us. I think for each of them, before they joined, I think at the very least we had 3 months of discussion and getting to know each other. So weekly meetups and trying to understand what role they could have and what's their objectives and so on. So I think that helped a lot.
You met with your 3 co-founders for 3 months. I mean, I guess it was not at the same time because time frame is different. But for 3 months, you met with each of them every week, one time, and the discussions was about what they would do, what actually you do as well, was a vision, what they would do, and how much. Like it was 1 hour every week, 1 hour, 2 hours, lunchtime.
Depends. Some of them had a lot of time from their work, so it was maybe 2 times 2 hours per week. And some of them had a busy job, so it was on the weekends. And one of them took a 6-week sabbatical. So it was full-time, 6 weeks with us before taking the decision. So that was, then we were very sure it was a good fit.
Okay, good. And the 2 others you were meeting, was it outside the office, or was it within the office, and everyone knew that they would be potential partners? How did you communicate on this with the rest of the team, and did they know the process? How did it go?
So the first one was also the first or the second employee, so no big impact on the rest of the team because there was one.
I see.
The second one was full-time, as I mentioned, in the company, so we had to be straightforward with the team that this was something we were looking at. And the last one we approached via a headhunting process. So
you hired a headhunter. You hired a headhunter to find your co-founder?
Not exactly. So we have an in-house full-time headhunter for talent acquisition, and who has purchased or access to headhunting databases. So it's something in-house, but yes, it's a headhunting process. Cold calls and maintaining a network of potential candidates over time. So then it was it's a big investment. I think. Well, I think it pays off. We used headhunters as well for other positions in the past, and they could not get the same quality of candidates we had. I think because they could not communicate the passion of co-founders and startups that when we call them directly. So we don't have as a result. And and the one recruitment we did via headhunters didn't work out in the end. So I think it was a good decision. But so for the last one, it was on the weekends and in the office.
Okay, good. We're close to the end of the podcast. How did you like the podcast? How did you like the exchange?
Very good, very good. I realized I need to be careful on what I live on the internet. I have to go to angel.co now to update.
Yeah, you may have to update a little bit. Yeah.
Anything else you saw? Anything else I should look for that you have dug out?
Updating, your angel.co. LinkedIn is a bit confusing. Sometimes in Chinese, sometimes in English. I'm very careful on the things. But I will debrief with you over lunch sometime before you go for Christmas. I do the thing. I found out. Thank you very much, Thomas. I think it was a very, very interesting. I guess it could inspire a lot of people and how to find your co-founders, business model, and so on, and with the WeChat ecosystem. It was very, very interesting. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you, Matthieu. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.